Now, let's get back to the task of disarming Iraq. You see, we're hunting for that missing 5% that we know probably doesn't exist. We need documents to back it up. Who has the documents? Saddam Hussein's security forces. So we need to investigate Saddam Hussein's security forces. I told you I'm not a biologist, but I did take elementary school biology, and we have this experiment, the frog experiment. I don't know, Canada might have laws that prevent cruelty to animals, but we have the experiment where you test the nervous system of a frog by poking it with a needle and something jumps. Well, we have this hypothesis that the documents we need to account for the final 5% are in the possession of Saddam Hussein's personal security force. So we started an investigation to find out where these documents are. Now, there's no guidebook in the library that you can pull down and say Saddam Hussein's security force, page 32, concealment, how to hide weapons from inspectors, and here they are. So that's who we're going to go investigate. No, we don't know anything about these security forces. Nothing at all, except that they're there. So we have to do an experiment, a science experiment, cause and effect. Initiate an action, see how the Iraqis respond. So in we go to downtown Baghdad, to one of Saddam Hussein's bodyguard units, their barracks. Knock at the door and say, we want to come in. In the meantime, we put an airplane overhead taking pictures of Baghdad to see how they respond, where the vehicles come from, where they go when we knock on the door. We also put a team in Baghdad that intercepts the communications of Saddam Hussein's inner leadership, listens to their radio traffic and the phone conversations, to see who picks up the phone and makes a panic phone call. The inspectors are here, the inspectors are here. And we recruit people to get on the inside to tell us what's happening when the Iraqis don't let us in that front door. It's a science experiment, cause and effect. We're determining how the Iraqis respond. We collect data. Then we go to the next site. Hi, we're here, want to do an inspection, and the Iraqis respond. It got a little old after a while for the Iraqis. They didn't like this because they kept asking a very relevant question. What in God's name does this have to do with disarmament? See, inspectors are not only authorized to go in and look for weapons of mass destruction, the law clearly says that we have to operate in a manner that is respectful of the dignity, the sovereignty, and the national security of Iraq. And by going after these sites, it's sort of an affront to the dignity, the sovereignty, and the national security of Iraq. But we had no choice because we needed to get that remaining 5%, and we had a hypothesis that the documents that could lead us in that direction were in the possession of the security establishment. Now, the Iraqis said, hey, we're not going to put up with this. We need a resolution. We need to define what it is you're doing. So we struck an agreement with them, an agreement that said we're allowed to go anywhere, anytime, but we'll respect your dignity and sovereignty by limiting the amount of inspectors that get into these sensitive facilities to 4. 4 inspectors who will go in and determine whether there's anything dealing with weapons of mass destruction there. And if there is, everybody comes in. If there's not, the 4 inspectors leave. And the Iraqis agreed. And this was called the Modalities for Sensitive Site Inspections. Very important document. It's going to come back in just a second. Now, why this is happening? This is 1996, 1997. Why are the inspectors doing this? Because we're pushing the issue of disarming Iraq. That's our job. That's our mandate. But now we come back to America's policy on Iraq. What is their policy? Removing Saddam Hussein from power. That's what they're about. Now, President George Herbert Walker Bush had a passive policy of removing Saddam Hussein. That meant that we're going to contain him with economic sanctions, put pressure on Iraq until somebody gets close enough to Saddam to put a bullet in his head.